Well, Lo and I had many talks, and none of us wanted any of that tension or awkwardness. So we wanted to kind of break that up and get past it. And Lo and I had a few talks, and we both kept trying to make an effort. And now it's kind of like we know we're not really close friends, but we're okay with each other, where we can be in the same room and have like a conversation, but we're not like best friends, where we're gonna go shopping every day together and talk on the phone all the time, or go out all the time together. It's not like that. It's not that type of friendship with Lo and I. It's more of a, I see her out, she sees me out, and we say hi, what's up, and that's pretty much it. At this point, we get along, we can be in the same room together, and, there's no awkwardness. We're fine with each other. We both kept pushing ourselves to make an effort and to really make it happen, because Lauren was both of our friends, and in order for all of us to go out together, we all had to get along. So we both made the effort, and it turned out well. For Frankie's birthday, everyone went to Vegas together on Doug's plane, I think. And I couldn't go with them because I had to stay behind for work. So there's no way that I could go with them. So Justin stayed behind with me, and we ended up going together when I was done. Things had been kind of weird with Lauren and I, because the night before we had ran into each other at the club. And so when we went to Vegas, it was awkward, and Justin and I popped in. We went there for Frankie since it was his birthday. We said, hi, happy birthday. And then we left and went and met up with some of our other friends and did our own thing. I'm really big with not confronting any of my friends at a bar, at a club, or with other people around. If something's going on between a friend and I would rather talk to them, just that person and me alone, not in a club, atmosphere with music where you can't really hear and there's drinking going on, because it only makes things worse. Well, at that point, I feel like Lauren and I had been through so much together. Obviously, things were building up between the two of us, and we weren't communicating or talking things through like you should with a friend. And eventually, I went upstairs and I talked to her, and we had our little crying session, and we worked through it, and, we became friends after, and we are still close. Well, whenever Lauren and I were gonna move out of the apartment, I didn't know that her and Lo were looking for places, and I was kind of oblivious to that. So as they asked me that, I was like, yeah, I'll move in. But then in the back of my mind, I also was thinking maybe I should just get my own place. So I think that was part of the problem, me moving in and knowing that they were already looking for places. Like, I don't know if they really wanted me to move in with them. So, and I was still kind of looking for places, and like things kept getting more and more weird every day. And I just felt like I would always vent to Justin, because I've known him for so long. He was such a great friend to me at the time. And, he would give me advice, saying in his situation with his old friend, he said that his friend moving out was almost better because it made their friendship closer than whenever they used to live together. So I was taking everything he was saying into consideration, and it made sense. Well, whenever I finally found a place, I didn't want to tell Lauren that I found a place until I actually found one that I loved, and I was, right on about it. Like, this is what I'm doing. I didn't want to be wishy-washy and be like, well, I think maybe I found one, whatever. I wanted to know for sure. And so when I went to tell her, I didn't really know how she was going to react, because with Heidi, it kind of tore their friendship apart. And, like Lauren didn't like her for that. And it was just a huge fiasco that I didn't want to happen. So I didn't really know how to bring it up to Lauren. With me, I just had to be blunt about it and tell her. So she knew that I was looking for places, and eventually, like, I had to tell her, and I did, and she was happy for me. And, it was kind of the opposite of what happened with her and Heidi. My new place is a million times nicer than the Chateau Audrina in the backyard. I have my own kitchen now. I have my own space, my yard. I could have all my friends over whenever I want. I'm not gonna step on anyone's toes. And I have a bigger closet now. I'm turning one of my rooms into a closet, and it's kind of like my own little bachelorette pad, and I love it. The the decor, I wanted to make it really romantic and girly and homey and kind of tropical, yet old Hollywood all mixed in. So I'm still actually decorating it right now, and everyone will get to see it on the show more and more. But, I'm trying to take my time because I want to buy like special pieces, and I don't just want to buy everything at once. Whenever Lauren left for Italy for a couple of weeks, Lo and I kind of looked at each other and we knew, like, okay, this is kind of our chance to hang out and get to know each other without Lauren. And it turned out being a good thing because we did get to know each other while Lauren was gone. Our attention was on each other and not, someone else. And we went to lunch, we went shopping, we cooked a lot, and we hung out. And I think it was a great little bonding time for us. When Lauren was in Italy, Stephanie actually came to the house and she asked me about going on a date with Doug and what I think Lauren would think. And I told her, I wouldn't go there. I would wait for Lauren to get back because they did, even though they weren't really exclusive or really together, it's still something that you need to talk to her about because she did date him at one time. But, in the back of my mind, Stephanie's a big girl. She can make her own decisions, and I gave her my advice, and that's all I could do. When Lauren was in Italy, Lo and I went to Goa, and we ran into Heidi and Spencer, and I started talking to Heidi, and she invited Justin and I to the X Games party. Justin and I was like, yeah, we'll go to the X Games event, we'll hang out. And we went, we actually had a great time, and I wasn't sure if Lauren would be mad at me or not, but I was like, you know what, she hangs out with Stephanie, who she wants to hang out with. I can hang out with Heidi. I was friends with her before, and I could still be friends with her. Yeah, I felt like I would be able to hang out with Heidi without Lauren being mad at me, and we're all mature now, so it didn't really cross my mind that Lauren would, get all angry with me for hanging out with Heidi. Spencer and Justin, actually, they did get along, and, they talked a lot at that event. Me and Heidi caught up. Spencer and Justin got to know each other because they didn't really know each other. And we all seemed to get along and have a good time. Well, I've had known Colin for a while, but I never really had any interest in him until he asked me out on a date. And I was like, okay, I'm not exclusive with Justin. I might as well go out on a date, it'll be fun. And Colin was a really nice guy, but, there just wasn't that chemistry there. There was nothing there. And I didn't want to lead him on or try to make something happen that just wasn't there. I didn't really do it to make Justin jealous. I just went on a date with him, and I wanted to have a good time and see maybe if there would be sparks. If there was a chemistry, then, if I didn't go on a date, I would never know, and there wasn't. But yeah, whenever I did tell Justin, he did get a little jealous, and to me, it kind of showed that maybe he did care. Cory came back into my life, and it's right whenever Justin and I broke up. We weren't together at all. And Cory's an amazing guy, and he would be the perfect boyfriend. But at this point, I feel like I wasn't ready for that like I thought I was. And he travels so much, and he's going back and forth from Australia back to Corona. And he lived almost 2.5 hours away from LA, so it was really hard to make time to see each other. And, we're still friends though, and maybe one day it will work, but just not right now. So Brody's birthday comes around, and I was I was dating Cory at the time, and I kind of invited him to go. And then I find out that Brody invited Justin to go. So I was kind of worried if I brought Cory and Justin was there, this huge fiasco, this fight was gonna happen and be so awkward. And I didn't want to ruin Brody's birthday. So I ended up uninviting Cory, and I ended up going, and I'm kind of glad that Cory didn't go because Justin did end up going. I was trying to ignore Justin as much as possible, and I feel like in this show it kind of shows that, but it's so hard because whenever we walked in, we were all trying to find our bedrooms, and in one of the bedrooms on the bed, it said Audrina and Justin, and I was like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. So I took my name off, and Lauren's like, just come in my room, we'll stay with me. So me and Lauren bunked in a room, and the whole time I just feel like it was more of a guy's trip. And Lauren and I, even though we're both like a guy's girl, and we ended up bonding, which was really good. Me and Lauren hung out the whole time. But with Justin, I just felt like, he kept provoking me and he took my flower and he wouldn't give it back. And then he kept saying little things and it was just petty little fights. That were so unnecessary. Lauren's advice to me at that time about Justin was just to really move on and, forget about him. And basically after that trip, like, just get over it and, scratch him out of your life. Well, whenever we got back from Cabo, I hadn't really spoken to Justin, and I was kind of iffy about Cory because seeing Justin, my feelings obviously were still there for Justin, and I felt like it wasn't fair to Cory. And then I was at work with Kiara. We were in the studio with Brandy, and Justin kept texting me, and he wanted to talk to me, and, I told him where I was, and he ended up coming to the studio. And I couldn't keep running from it, so I went out there and I talked to him, and, it's just, he told me how he felt, and usually with Justin, like, he doesn't open up with his feelings, so whenever he does, it, like, says a lot. And then I let Cory go from there, and Justin and I have been hanging out since. I actually heard it through a friend who knows Justin and Lauren. He wanted to tell me this rumor that Lauren and Justin hooked up, but he didn't want to tell me. And he was so sincere and genuine about it and, like, promising on his mother's life and everything. It supposedly happened the last week of August, and he was there for it, and he told my sister told me. And so to me, I was like, well, why would someone make something up like this? And then when I found out, I called Lauren and I was like, did you do this? Like, don't lie to me. And, like, she hung up on me. And then I didn't talk to her for a week. I couldn't get a hold of Justin. So both of them seemed like they were avoiding me. And so it made my mind keep running. And then I started believing it because I wasn't hearing from the two people that I needed to hear from. And it was driving me crazy. Like, I was kind of left with nothing else to believe with. And I just had these other people in my ear when all I needed to talk to were those two people. And they're supposedly my good friends, and they weren't there for me. And so that bummed me out. And just the whole rumor thing, it drove me crazy for like 2 weeks. And, mentally and physically, like, I couldn't eat. I was so upset, and just, that's all I kept thinking about and analyzing it. And eventually, when I did get to talking to Justin, we talked to each other, and it was like a mature conversation where with Lauren and I, it was more like a screaming thing, and it didn't resolve anything. So then we had to meet up again and re-talk about it. And eventually, like, we were more mature about it, and she let me talk, and we talked through it and resolved things. And, for me, I'm really glad that we talked through it, all three of us, and, things are better now. I don't even want to look into the future with Justin and I. Like, I'd rather just live in the moment and see what happens. I don't want to, make any futuristic assumptions. I have no idea, honestly, what's going to happen with us. I don't know the future of Lauren and I either. I mean, for me, I just kind of live in the moment and take it day by day because in our lives right now, like living in LA and being young and going through friendship, dilemmas and relationship dilemmas, it changes almost week by week. So I have no idea as far, as the future, what it holds for Lauren or with Justin. I hope things work out good for both of us and, like, for me and Lauren, that we continue being friends and Justin and I continue being friends. And I hope for the best, but I really don't want to, I don't look to the future at all. I just kind of live in the moment.